This is war. We are done with the simulations. We are done with the reading of the textbooks. We are done with drills and practices and safe zones. We are done with that. Are you even listening to me? We will never be ready for Abaddon. In the game of Abaddon, you will be fighting your opponents. You can fight your opponents in a one-on-one battle like I have set up here, or you can fight them on teams and fight them 2 versus 2. Now there are several battle scenarios in the book, and you'll set them up according to whatever the instructions are in the book. They'll tell you who goes first. They'll tell you what types of units that you will get. Down here, they'll even tell you who goes first. And they'll tell you how you win each of these scenarios. So I have just gone ahead and I have set up the very first one right here, which is just called Field Exercises. And this one will just help you get the basics of the game and learn how to play. In this one, all you have to do is defeat 2 of your opponents. Or 2 of your opponent's units, excuse me. And that is how you win this scenario. And that is what I have set up here. But let me show you a little bit about how the game is played and what everything does. When you start off, you're going to look at the book, and it's going to tell you which units that you will get. There are 4 different units in the game. So let me make sure I get these names right. So we have the Heavy Link unit here, which is the beefiest of all of your units. And each one has a little sticker on the back here. Sorry, I'm filming at a weird angle, so I'm not used to trying to focus on this stuff. But each one has, down here, okay, focus. There we go. So each one has a little sticker back here telling you how much its move value is, what battle die it rolls, and what its power is. So its power level is equal to its health. So when you have your guy out, you're going to put crystals of your color into the front of the mech, and that'll show how much energy he has left. So those are the heavy units. And then we have what is called the medium link, which is this guy right here, which is a pretty cool unit. These are just, you know, crying to be painted, but these look pretty awesome here. And let's see if I can focus. I'm so backwards. So that is move 2. The battle is a 6 and the power level is a 4. Then we have the Recon Link. So the Recon Link is a pretty cool little guy. He only has a 3 power. That's why he only has 3 in there. He rolls a D6 as well, and as I said, the power is 3, and his move is 3. And then one of the last pieces is your infantry. So your infantry are just these little dudes here, and they have a power of 4. And about that, they roll a D6 as well, move 1, and of course I just said power of 4. So, whoops, and I just lost his little crystal. So, you will also have some pretty cool terrain. So there are like cities, villages, and forests. So, and here's like what the forest looks like. So how do you actually play the game? Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to, every player is going to pick a color, and they're going to go ahead and set up the units. However, they want to, or per the scenario. They're also going to get one of these little cups, and these are just for collecting your points, and your points are usually the energy that come off of the unit. Sometimes in other scenarios you'll be using some other types of points, but you'll be collecting all of those into these little cups, so each player will get one of them. Then if you're just playing a one-on-one player, each player is going to get 5 dice. If you're playing in teams, then each team will share 5 of these dice, and these are your activation dice. Now each side of these dice have one of the units on them. They also have a weapon systems, which allows you to draw a card, and they also have a command side. And with the command side, you can do multiple things with that. I'll explain that in just a second. Then each player is going to get a set of these battle dice. And what's nice about these is they are color-coded to the units that they go along with. So the black die goes with your heavy unit, and your green die goes with your infantry. So that is pretty cool. Then each player is, if you're playing in teams, each player is randomly going to get one of these little lock-on targets. If you're just playing a 2-player game, well, you just figure out who's player 1 and who's player 2. So let's just get those off to the side there. And let's just see what we have going on here. You're going to look at the scenario. The scenario is going to tell you exactly everything that you need here. So, according to the briefing notes, it says it right here, that the Commonwealth Alliance takes the first turn. So they're the ones on the blue side of the board. So on here, they're the ones at the top side of the board. So they're the ones who get the first turn. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the number 1, if I can get it in my fingers here, the little number 1 token here, showing that they are the first player. So they're going to receive that on their side. And then, of course, this red side here is going to receive the number 2 token. And then you also look at the setup instructions, and tells you how many weapon systems cards you get. According to the scenario, both sides are going to get 6 weapon system cards. So let's go ahead and dish those out. So the blue side of the board is moving first. Everything is all set up. Everything is ready to go. So what they're going to do is they're going to go ahead and they're going to roll up their dice. You know what? Let me get a dice tray here, so that way it'll be easier for you to see. So I just went ahead and grabbed the dice tray here, just so that I can roll them and bring them up to the camera, since I have a camera at this high angle. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see them. So you're going to take your activation dice. Oh, I'm sorry, no. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your lock-on target piece. And what you're going to do is you're going to place it in a square that another piece is occupying. And whenever you attack that square, you're going to get a +1 bonus to your attack. So let's just say here, I'm going to target their heavy mech, and their heavy mech is right here. So I'm going to place that right there. You probably can't see it on camera, but it's there for everybody to see. And what I like to do, let me actually just move this here, see if I can zoom in. So this is what I like to do. I like to put it in one of those square corners right there and just point it to the square I'm referencing. So that way, because sometimes they don't quite fit into the squares like you really want them to. So let's just zoom back out here. Okay. So now that you have locked on to a specific unit square, you're going to give your dice a roll and see what units that you can activate. So this is my roll here. So let me show you here. We have one of those command dice, which is really cool. We have Recon Link, which will let me use my recon unit. I have a Weapon Systems. I have an additional Recon Link, and I have another Weapon Systems. Well, those Weapon Systems allow me to draw more Weapon Systems cards, and now I have a choice with this command die. If I want to use this command die as Weapon Systems, I can go ahead and move that over right now and say I'm going to use that to draw a card. Right now, I'm not going to do that, so I'm saying I'm not using that as Weapon Systems. So these two Weapon System dice, I'm going to go ahead and spend those to draw some cards. So I'm just going to place those off to the side, and I'm going to draw two of these Weapon Systems cards and add those to my hand. Now, the cards here you are using when you are doing a ranged combat, and these will help add to that, or there are some things that you can use to manipulate the game a little bit and do some different types of attacks. So, going back to the dice here, as I said, I have two Recon Link and then this command. So you can use this command die, since I didn't use it to draw cards, I can use it to command any unit that I want to. Each die, you can issue one command with each die. So my Recon Link I can command twice. I can command it a third time if I wanted to use my command for the Recon. If I wanted to use it for another unit, I can do that as well. Each unit on the board can move as many dice as you have, but they can only attack once per turn. So you can't try to attack any more than that. So with this, we're obviously going to be manipulating the Recon Link twice, and I'm going to decide about this command just a second. So my Recon Link is right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to place the dice right there, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and add that command die to that Recon Link because I want him to be able to do a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and just use up that command die to go ahead and move this unit. Now, if you remember, on the back of the unit tells you how far you can move it, and the Recon Link has a move of 3. So, spending that one command die, he can move 3 spaces. And then you can move orthogonally, or you can move diagonally, however you want to, and you can turn if you need to in that movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. That puts me right up against the forest, and I'm going to go 1, 2. You know what? That's all I'm going to do. So I used 2 dice to move. Now I have 1 die left, and I can use that die to go ahead and attack my opponent. So I have a couple of choices here. I can only attack something that I have line of sight in. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. So what do I have line of sight in? Let's try to tilt this up a little bit. So there we go. So my Recon Link can go ahead and attack this infantry, since that is in a straight line, or in a straight diagonal line right here. He can attack my opponent's Recon Link. So whichever one I want to attack, I can go ahead and do so. So do you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I want to attack my opponent's Recon Link, since that only has 3 health. So I'm going to spend that die to say, hey, I'm going to attack. So now that I'm attacking, I'm going to go ahead and look at my cards here, and I'm going to use a card to supplement whatever the dice roll is going to be. So with this unit, I'm going to be rolling my blue D6, and my opponent it's the same type of unit, so they're going to defend with their blue D6. Now to supplement that, since I'm doing a ranged combat, is that I can use one of these target cards. Now what these target cards will do is these will add to whatever my dice roll is. Now I also have some other things that if I wanted to, I could use. I have a couple long-range bombardments, and I could use those to attack another unit that's not within range. One cool thing about this game is range is always 5 spaces. So if you're within 5 spaces, you're allowed to attack. So that makes it very, very easy to figure out. You don't have to worry about different units having different spacing. But long-range bombardment allows you to ignore that 5-space rule, and you can use it to attack something that is more than 5 spaces, but less than 8 spaces away. Let's see here. I also have some anti-missile missiles, which those can be used for defense. I hope my opponent doesn't have any of these. I hope that since I drew 2, they don't have any. So they can use those to negate anything that I'm going to do. So, you know what? Let's see here. I have a 5, a 1, and an 8. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my 5 here because I don't want to waste my 8. I want to hold on to that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my card here and I'm going to place it face down, and you're supposed to point it at the unit you're attacking. Sometimes it's a little difficult, but this is so that if you're using multiple units to attack, you can see which ones are attacking which ones. And if you're being attacked by multiple units, you can say which card is going for which unit. So looking at my opponent's cards here, let's see here. So they don't know what kind of card I have. So they have some long-range bombardments, which they cannot use now. Do you know what? They have this card right here, which is a target 3, but at the bottom it says Recon Link scores 2 additional damage. So that is pretty cool. So what they're going to do is they're going to use that card, and if they're successful, they're going to get 2 additional damage against my guy. So they're going to place that out, point it generally towards my unit. And now we commence battle. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to battle each other. So at the same time, we flip over our cards. So we see that I played the 5 and he played the 3. So right now I have a 2-point advantage. So he needs to try to roll 2 points higher than me. Oops, I just realized I took the wrong turn there. There'll be a note before I said this, but yeah, it's supposed to be the blue player's turn first. My bad, but we're just going to roll with it since we're already here. So now we're going to roll for the red player here. We're going to see what he can get here, and ooh, he rolled a 5. Total of 10. There is no way that the other player can beat that. So they're still going to roll their dice even though they know they're going to lose, but they're just trying to do the best that they can. So they are going to roll, and he rolled, ooh, a 6. So 3 plus 6 is 9. Because this one was the lower one, he is going to lose bloop, one of those power crystals, and that'll go into the cup of the winning player. So he will have that. If for some reason that my player was able to do double the number or more than my opponent, then you get 2 hits, which is really cool. Also, if I would have ever rolled a 1, that is considered a critical hit. It doesn't matter what the other side rolls. If you roll a 1, kaboom, critical hit. The other side could roll a 1. It could be a double critical hit. But with this critical hit, if something like that happens, then you have to draw one of these wildfire cards. Now, these wildfire cards are not always a good thing. Sometimes they're okay. Sometimes they're really, really bad. So, for example, let's just flip one over here. We have, oh, Super Surge. So Super Surge, super duper charged. Add 2 power crystals to the unit. The crystal must be available and the unit must have open slots. So with that, you shot your opponent and that got a super surge. She actually gave them power crystals. That's not a good thing. Let's see here. What do we have here? Oh, we have Short Circuit. So Short Circuit, lose command programming. Opponent draws 2 weapon system cards at random from your hand. The cards drawn are discarded. So that is not a good card for you as well. Sometimes you don't want that kind of crit. There's usually good crits here. Let's see here. Let's find one of the bad things here. There we go. We have System Malfunction, Power Lag. Remove 1 power crystal from the unit. In addition, unit battles and defends with a D6, which is the lowest die in the game. Place a System Malfunction on the unit. If the unit is already at a D6, there is no effect. Retain this card. So if one of the other units, let's just say the heavy mech was to receive this, there are these little flags that you will put into them. So here's System Malfunction. So you put this little System Malfunction flag in there to remind you that the System Malfunction card corresponds to that unit, and that unit has some limitations. There are some cards in here that will just simply make your bot explode, which is really, really bad. I'm trying to find that one. Yes, here it is. Warning! Warning! System overload, possible destruction, roll 2 activation dice. If the unit type is rolled on either die, the unit blows and the unit is removed from the battlefield. So sometimes those are really good, sometimes those are really bad, all depending on when those are drawn. But that is when you roll a 1. So then it will go on to the next player's turn. You go ahead and discard the cards that were obviously used, and you will continue on battling each other, trying to defeat. There are some line of sight rules, as I said. There are rules for when stuff is like adjacent. So let's just say my units were like here, and that forest wasn't there, and my guy was here, and the infantry here was trying to shoot this guy. He can't because there's 2 adjacent him with the corners, and then there's a little bit more involved, but this is a pretty simple game. You're going to roll up these command dice, see who you can manipulate, and then when you battle each other, you're just going to be rolling the appropriate dice and seeing what you get. There are cards you can play for defense, cards that you can use to attack, and the different scenarios have different requirements for how you win. Sometimes you need so many points, sometimes you need so many crystals, or you just need to defeat a certain number of enemies. But that is Abaddon.
This program is part of the Pathological Nerdcasters Network. Find more at pncn.rocks, where all the geeks come to play.
So those are just some of the basics of Abaddon. Now, this game is not something that's typically a game that I gravitate towards. When I was asked to do the preview actually for the expansion, if you want to see that, go ahead and click the I that is right up there. But when I was asked to do the expansion, they asked if I needed a copy of the base game. I went ahead and looked into the entire project because I'd personally never heard of it, honestly. But then I saw Richard Borg's name. Now, I associate Richard Borg with heavier war-style games. I don't know if that's even accurate, but it's something that I never really bothered to look into. It just, his name associated with games that weren't generally my style. I want like high fantasy elves and tavern brawls and that kind of stuff. Whereas this is a little bit more down and dirty and in the trenches, and it's not something that I would actually seek out. But I went ahead and looked at it, and the game looked cool. The game looked really, really interesting, and I figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and get out of my comfort zone and try something that's something that I would never actually pick up in the game store or see at a game convention, I'd probably just walk right on past it. But I figured, you know what? I have an opportunity. Let's go ahead and try something completely different. And you know what? I love this game. This game is something that is really, really cool. Now, the book, when I first got it, was like, as you saw, I did a little unboxing on Facebook. You can go on my Facebook page and find that. But I was looking at all the little units and stuff. I'm like, these look really, really cool. And I mean, these are just begging to be painted. These things are fantastic, but there's so many of them, I don't know if I have the patience to paint them. So if anybody wants to paint these for me, please let me know, and I will be happy to ship these to you, and you will paint them for me. Thank you. But anyways, I got the book out. I'm looking at the book, and the book is just text and text. Even though, you know, it's pretty wide print text and stuff, it feels overwhelming. It feels like, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? There's going to be all these rules, and if you do this, you're going to have to look at this table and do this and look at this table. No, this game is super simple. I mean, you roll your command dice, see what units can move and interact, and then if you decide to attack something, you have a 5-space attack range. If you're within that range, you roll your dice, see who is the higher number, and see who wins. And then I love that crit hit. So if you roll a 1, something bad, something good, who knows what's going to happen to your opponent's unit. I really like that. I like that there are multiple scenarios. You can play this on teams. So if you have 4 players, you can sit down and we can go at it. Or you can just do the one-on-one, which I really, really like that style of game. One-on-one is really my sweet spot for games. So if I can play a 2-player game that is fun and a little tactical, but not super, super complicated, I really, really like this game. This is probably one of my favorite ones. This one will be coming to the table, because I know Will is requesting to play this one. Again, he really enjoyed it, and it's just something I just don't have. So this actually filled a void that I didn't know I needed. So if this looks like something that you would enjoy, please seek this game out at your friendly local game store, and please definitely try it out. And please don't forget that I have done the preview for the expansion. So if you click the I right up there again, that'll take you to my preview of the expansion that changes some rules in and might add a cool new unit. So if you want to check that out, click up there. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and help support Cloak and Meeple. You can go ahead and click my logo to subscribe. You can click the Patreon link to help support this channel. There's also a video down there that might be of enjoyment to you. Thanks for watching. Keep on clicking. That's horrible. I have no clue why I said that. Just bye.